So the first thing that they ask you to do is graph this function using your Desmos or graphing calculator and look at what happens when you use the standard window. And that's what we're seeing right here. If I use the standard window for that function, I see nothing. However, if I change the window, zooming in and out a little bit, here's what I'll see. So when I change the window setting, and now I've got my setting to between like 0 and 15 on the x-axis and 0 to maybe 35, 40 on the y-axis, I can start to get a better picture of that graph. And what I see is that it has a lowest point of 12, 11, which is why I could not see it in my standard 10 to 10 window. This window setting allowed me to see enough of the graph to get a pretty good idea of what was happening, but I still can't tell from this what the y-intercept is. So I really need to kind of zoom out even more. So let's zoom out even more. Now by really zooming out, I can see that my y-intercept is way up here at 155. And I would have never been able to kind of tell that from the windows that I had initially. So I had to really zoom out pretty far in my windows to make them to make me be able to see the actual graph. Now, as far as the window settings and all of that go, you can write down your own window settings. But what I want to talk about here is what are the domain and range of the function. So my domain. Guys, here's the thing. With my domain, there's not a limitation to an x value that I can use because I can plug any x value in and I'm going to get an output. So my domain is all real numbers. Now, this is great. And if you wrote that, fantastic. There's a couple of ways that we can write our domain and range. First of all, some of you might put something like, I'm not entirely, maybe you did this in Algebra 1. You said x can be anything between negative infinity and infinity. This is actually called inequality notation. And it's a good notation, but we're going to move towards something called interval notation this year. And interval notation uses parentheses and brackets, okay? Parentheses, I'm going to write this up above here. A parenthesis like that is the same as a less than or greater than symbol. A bracket is the same as a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to symbol. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say my smallest value that I'll be able to use for my x's is negative infinity. My largest value is positive infinity. And because I can't ever actually reach infinity or negative infinity, I use parentheses around them. Now, my range is anything greater than or equal to 11. So my range would be all y values that are greater than or equal to 11. So maybe this was how you wrote that back in Algebra 1. Well, in Algebra 2, what we're going to ask you to do is think about it this way. Start with what your smallest possible value would be. So my smallest possible value for y is 11. I can actually reach 11. 11 is a valid value for y. Okay, and then after that, my graph continues to go on forever, up. So my highest value for y is infinity. So we're going to learn how to do these this new notation for domain and range. And that's just kind of a quick introduction for you. And I guess we could have written here that, we didn't write that, sorry. The range is any number greater than or equal to 11.